For some people, a text message is just a text message. For others, it is a tiny emotional event. You send something normal. Maybe even something simple. And then your body starts reacting before anything has actually happened. Your chest gets tight. Your stomach drops a little. You keep going back to the conversation, checking whether they have replied. Then you replay what you wrote. Not once. Not casually. You replay it like there is one exact moment where everything became unsafe. Maybe the sentence sounded colder than you meant. Maybe that joke did not land. Maybe you should have added an emoji. Maybe you sounded too eager. Too distant. Too much. Too careful. Too available. Too something. And even though part of you knows this is probably not logical, another part of you cannot stop inspecting the message. If that feels familiar, it does not mean you are dramatic, needy, or too sensitive. It usually means your nervous system has a hard time sitting inside uncertainty. Texting is difficult for anxious minds because it gives you words without the human context that normally helps you feel safe. In person, you can hear tone. You can see someone's face. You can notice whether they are tired, distracted, joking, or overwhelmed. But in a text, all of that disappears. You are left with a message bubble, a timestamp, an empty space. Your brain does not like empty space when connection matters. It tries to fill in what is missing. In real life, that can be useful. It helps you notice when someone is upset, uncomfortable, or holding something back. But texting turns that skill into a much harder game because there is almost nothing solid to read. So the signal gets tiny. A period. No period. One word. A missing emoji. A reply that comes later than usual. Suddenly, your brain is treating punctuation like body language. AK can feel cold. OK can feel distant. Sure can feel annoyed. 3 dots can feel like emotional suspense. Rationally, you know there may be harmless explanations. They might be driving, working, sleeping, busy, overwhelmed, distracted. But emotionally, your body is not asking what is most likely. It is asking what might hurt. That is especially true if connection has felt unpredictable before. Maybe you grew up around moods that changed quickly. Maybe affection felt inconsistent. Maybe you were criticized for getting things wrong. Maybe you learned to watch small signs because small signs used to matter. When that happens, the brain becomes very good at scanning. It learns, if I catch the shift early, maybe I can protect myself. That does not make you broken. It means your brain takes connection seriously. The problem is that digital communication gives your brain very little stable ground. So your mind starts building an explanation behind the scenes. You are not only asking, what did this message mean? You are asking, what does this mean about us? That is a much heavier question. It is about rejection, misunderstanding, disconnection, loss. This is why one unanswered text can follow you through the whole day. Modern texting makes this harder because it gives you just enough information to keep analyzing. Read receipts. Online status. Last seen. Typing indicators. They seem like they should calm you down, but often they create more questions. You compare response times. You remember how they used to text. You notice when paragraphs become 2 lines. You notice when the energy changes, or when a message feels shorter than normal. And your mind starts making a report while you are trying to work, eat, sleep, or relax. It is exhausting, but it is not random. Most overthinking is an attempt to prevent emotional pain. Scan. Predict. Protect. If I can figure out what this means, maybe I can prepare. Maybe I will not be blindsided. but protection can turn into suffering when your body reacts before there is real evidence. Sometimes you pull away to protect yourself. Sometimes you send another message because waiting feels unbearable. Sometimes you rewrite the same message 5 times, trying to control how it will be received. That is not always about trying to impress someone. Often it is about not wanting to be misunderstood. You want to sound warm, but not needy. Clear, but not harsh. Mature, but not cold. That is a lot to ask from a few words on a screen. For some people, the fear is not only rejection. It is being misread. So what helps? First, notice when your body is reacting to the absence of information, not the presence of proof. A delayed reply is not the same thing as rejection. A short message is not automatically a diagnosis of the relationship. Sometimes the hardest part is simply not knowing. That is where your nervous system needs grounding. It can also help to separate facts from interpretations. Fact, they have not replied yet. Interpretation, they are annoyed with me. Fact, their reply was shorter than usual. Interpretation, the relationship is changing. The interpretation might be true, but it is not the same as evidence. When you can name that difference, the spiral has less power. Another question helps too. What am I afraid this message means? Usually, the answer is closer to the real wound. I am afraid I am being abandoned. I am afraid I am a burden. I am afraid I matter less than I thought. That is much more honest than arguing with yourself about response times. Sometimes silence is just silence. Sometimes a tiny shift is real, and sometimes your brain is trying to protect you from an old feeling in a new situation. The goal is not to become careless. Your sensitivity is not the enemy. The goal is to stop making every message carry the weight of the whole connection. You can care without investigating every pause. You can be clear without over-explaining. You can want reassurance without chasing it through every tiny signal. You are not broken. Your mind learned that details matter. Sometimes that makes you insightful. Sometimes it makes you tired. Usually, it makes you both. If this explains something you have felt but never fully named, subscribe. And the next video will go deeper into why some people never fully relax around others.